June happens to be Stroke Awareness Month. And in the studio with me from the Senior Support Services, I'm talking with health promoter Jennifer Godkin. Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'm just so glad that you're coming in and we're talking about strokes, because that great big group of baby boomers is now, yes.
Yeah, and stroke
increasing.
is the third leading cause of death in our country here in Canada. So
really?
It's really important to bring identification to stroke and what the symptoms are and how we can help prevent that.
So tell us, what is a stroke?
So a stroke is any time that you have an infarct into the brain, so whether it's a clot or a bleed, that causes the impairment of blood flow to the brain. So
Yes.
that's what a stroke is.
Okay, so it's an interruption, really, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. All right. Is there different types of strokes?
Yes, so we have different types of strokes. So we have ischemic strokes. That is when we have the actual clot in a part of our brain that restricts the blood flow. And then we have hemorrhagic, when that's the bleed. So you might have a leak or a small bleed in the brain as well. And then we've all heard the term TIA, the transient ischemic attack. Those are the smaller little infarcts to the brain that don't cause a lot of permanent damage, but should be known as a warning sign to a possible infarct later on or a larger stroke.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people dismiss some of the symptoms of a stroke, do they not? And think, oh, I'm going to be all right. I'll just sit down, have a cup of tea, and I'll be fine, right?
Yeah, because a lot of common causes are like a headache, right?
Yes.
But if it's severe and prolonged, that's something to take note of. We always use the acronym FAST
Right.
as a response to stroke. So if you notice that someone's having severe facial drooping, their eye droops, maybe some drooping of the lip, that's a big indicator. So that's one, and that's the F.
Mm-hmm.
The A stands for arm. So if someone's looking like they're very weak on one side or the other, or if you hold their arms up and one quickly drops, that would be an indicator that there could be something going on. And S stands for speech.
Mm-hmm.
So that's slurred, mumbled speech, words not making sense, or they can't speak at all. It's, they try, but there's no words coming out.
Okay.
It's important to act really fast. So that's what the T stands for.
Mm-hmm.
T stands for time, because there's such wonderful treatments now for stroke. So time is of the essence, because every minute that you're stroking can take years off your life. So it's important to actually act fast and not ignore those symptoms.
So there is a window, but within that window, it's would you call it like a reversal of the stroke that a person is having?
You can have improvements
Okay.
with some of these new treatments that they have.
Mm-hmm.
There is often permanent damage that you want to try and minimize as much as possible, whether they're left with hemorrhagic attributes or aphasia. There's some other things as well that we can help prevent and that we help minimize. The great drugs that they have now and the great treatments that they're doing at Kingston, it's important to call 911.
Okay.
There is a huge stroke protocol in place for our area. And so imaging is of the utmost to determine whether it's a blood clot
Yes.
or if it's a bleed, so that they can act fast and get you those treatments necessary.
Okay.
So there's three, so we're probably really fortunate in our area that we have access to these. So we have the TPA. It's like a clot blister.
Okay.
So it takes a little bit of time, and it has to be administered quickly. So, within a 4-hour period. So, getting to Kingston takes time itself. So, and getting the imaging.
Yes.
But when there is identification that someone is having a stroke, the paramedics come and they have a whole protocol. So they may just directly take you to Kingston, get the imaging done, and they call ahead. So the team is actually ready
Okay.
in Kingston with several members that participate in a well-orchestrated event to help minimize and get you the treatments quickly. So the TPA is one drug. We have a new one called TNK. It takes way less time to administer. You get the confirmation with an MRI. imaging, CT, to make sure that it's a clot as well, and it administers quite quickly within 10 seconds in an IV, so it doesn't take as long a time to administer as the TPA, and it's showing amazing results. There's even been people that are able to leave the emergency the same day, even though
Really?
they've had an active stroke after being supervised for 24 hours, that kind of thing.
Heavens.
And yeah, their symptoms sort of disappear and they're able to carry on. And then we also have another treatment plan. So that's the EVT. That's the endovascular treatment.
Right.
So they go in with a catheter, just sort of like if you're having a catheter to put in your blocked vessels for your heart. They go in the same way. And they go in with this removable stent, and they can pull the clot completely out of your brain, and they do that in Kingston as well. So there's several successful treatments that are available, so it's important. That time piece is really important when you're talking about stroke. Yeah.
And really, if you think you're having one, do something about it. Just don't wait, right? Just don't say, oh, well, because it's better to go to the hospital or your doctor or whatever and have him say, no, you are going to be fine. It's not a stroke. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's better to do that than it is to ignore.
It's better to err on the side of caution.
You got it.
We're seeing a lot of more younger stroke victims as well. So stroke does not have an age.
Really?
It's not like something like a dementia or an Alzheimer's where people think when you're older these sort of symptoms kind of onset.
Yes.
Children can have strokes, teenagers can have strokes, young adults, elderly. It's not restricted to
Do we know why?
age. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's genetics.
Okay.
And
yeah.
oftentimes there's lifestyles as well that, proper exercise, proper diet, those can all help contribute to a healthier lifestyle, which can help prevent strokes. So we do a lot around stroke prevention as well.
Do you have a stroke support program?
So at Senior Support Services, we are very supported by the Stroke Network of Eastern Ontario, and we are funded to provide many services to our stroke clients. So we offer monthly support group meetings. So they're here in Brockville the last Monday of the month. They go for about 2 hours. It's a lovely group. They support each other. We have discussion topics that we talk about. Any new information that they have coming out of the Stroke Network, I provide them to the clients as well. We also have aphasia conversation groups. So these are groups that support people who have aphasia, which is common after a stroke. So some people are affected with their speech, whether it's forming words, being able to get the words out, maybe having their words jumbled up, dysarthria, which is the power to speak, so sort of that what it takes to speak. It may be very low and quiet. So we have lovely groups every other week here in Brockville, and they we're supported by a speech language pathologist, which is excellent. And we're very fortunate to have Nadia, who joins us, Succoni, who's a specialized in speech language pathologist. So she gives us great tips and tools. She gives the caregivers lots of tools to help the communication happen at home as well. So it's a great warm environment. I also have adult day programs for stroke survivors on Tuesdays.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep. So it's a full day of activities. We ask that they can tolerate at least 4 to 6 hours.
Okay.
We talk about nutrition and diet. We have an exercise specialist that comes in and actually does exercises with the group that are specific for stroke. So we work on that balance, fine motor skills, working on the hemiplegic side so that if there's weakness and stuff, we can help maintain and develop that.
Yes. That's awesome. Do you find that the clients, when they come in, they actually share with each other?
Yeah, so it's quite a bond that they all have after, they have a commonality of the stroke for sure.
Right.
And so they can all relate to one another. So if a client has aphasia, they're very supportive and understanding because maybe at some point in time they also experience some aphasia, but they've recovered in that piece with theirs. So it's really nice to see that they support each other, that they talk about their lives and they share stories and their successes. We had a gentleman who wasn't walking when he first started attending our program. And I mean, we cheer and clap every time he walks down that hallway now. So it's so warm and inviting and very encouraging. I think that's what's so important with the programs that we offer. And I support them right from their discharge at hospital. So I go into the hospital at Brockville General Hospital as well as the Perth and District Hospital as a small 5-bed unit.
Yes.
And so I go to both places. Our integrated stroke network here is amazing. Natalie Aiken is the social worker there that I work very closely with. So I can do two things. I can go in and do warm handoffs one-on-one. We have a group that we also have that we run probably once a month, and it's called Ask a Survivor. So I bring in some long-term stroke survivors
Yes.
into the group. Oftentimes we have 6 or 8 people around, and it's new. They're still in the environment of the stroke rehabilitation, but coming up upon discharge. So they have questions and concerns about going home. So we help alleviate those questions and those stressors. We know that stress can be increased on discharge, so we want to make sure that they know that we're here for them if they have any questions and any concerns, and that we can help address it and make sure they're safe going home.
And you're just a phone call away.
We are just a phone call away, an email.
Yeah.
I actually receive, with Natalie's permission of the patient, of course, she sends me all the referrals. We reach out about a week or so after the discharge, and we go over all the services we have to offer. I do some fun things too throughout the year. So June is Stroke Awareness Month.
Yes.
I have a large barbecue that I'm hosting for all my survivors and caregivers
Aw.
and supporters in stroke. So the hospital team members come over, they join us as well, and they love it because they get to see the progress people make after discharge from hospital.
Yeah.
Because stroke survival is a long journey. It doesn't just happen in your 8-week or 12-week rehab stay. Progress can be made even after that, and we've seen so much of it, and they're so excited to come back and see the patients again that it's very enlightening. So I do that, and I do a Christmas dinner as well. I think our Christmas dinner had 80 people in attendance.
It's
So
growing.
our groups are getting very large.
They
My
are,
support
yes.
group is probably 25 to 30 people on a regular basis here in Brockville. And then our adult day, we support 15 other clients as well. So we're supporting a large number of people in our community.
You are indeed, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for coming in today, sitting down with me and talking about Stroke Awareness Month, which happens to be June.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Don't go away. We'll be right back.